All right, we are live. There are 0 eyeballs on us, but we are
Woo!
live. Bum bum
Yes!
bum 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 bum
Oh,
bum
I love to be
bum
alive.
bum 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 bum. Yep, this
Here we are,
is
everyone.
here we are. We're giving this a few minutes to breathe. We want you to, in a digital sense, come near us, not in a physical sense, but in a digital sense,
Mhm.
gather near. You can break digital social distancing rules and you can come as close as you want. You can come right up to your computer screen. And here, I want to
And
kind of give you.
while we're warming up,
Yes.
I just want to give a shout out to Antonia's sister who listened to the podcast yesterday, and we salute you.
We salute you. All right. Are we ready, boys?
We
We got
salute you.
12 people.
This is what the internet was made for, everybody.
And we see, look, everyone was like, ha, you fools, podcasting. No one's into podcasting. Well, look at us now. We could be in a cave. We could be heads buried in the sand, and we are podcasting. All right, boys, are you ready? Are you ready to start? We told people 2 p.m.
Ready.
Central Time. Hi, George. Hi, Brittany. Hi, StreamYard. That's not really a person. That's just what shows here, right here on the top. I think we're ready, boys.
You shouldn't read everything that comes on your screen, Ben.
Here we go. Deep breath, and we begin.
You are listening to the Lockdown Livestream, a special edition Provoke&Inspire episode.
All right, welcome to the Provoke and Inspire podcast, Lockdown Livestream, episode number 2. And we have the privilege of also having Luke with us today.
Hello, everybody!
Hey Ben,
I am so joyous to be with you all.
Yeah,
Ben,
you
what
can
is
enjoy us.
he's got his little hat on again.
He does. He has his British chapeau. It keeps the top of the dome fresh.
Well, the thing is, it takes me about 20 minutes to do the hairdo thing, and I just don't always have time. So when I don't have time, cap comes on.
And I want to say, from a neutral observer's perspective, you look about the same with or without the hat, with or without preparation.
That's the beauty of it, you know.
I do want to mention that
could
this
go either
episode
way.
is brought to you by 409 Spray, and we are changing our name. We are changing our name to Spray and Live, as opposed to Come and Live.
Ben, don't advertise something if they're not going to give us anything.
Yeah, but it's
You're just giving it away for free.
All I can say is if I had a time machine, I would go back and I would invest in wipes. Here, I have to show the listening audience something. This is very embarrassing, but I have a Purell thing on a keychain.
Wow.
You see that? I know.
Wow,
now you might be thinking, boy, that's a little...
Did Courtney make you do that?
No. However, it is related to Courtney because I thought I got to bring some hand sanitizer.
Wait a minute. Wait. Courtney is Ben's wife, for those of you who don't know.
Encyclopedia.com over there always has...
I mean, they don't know. They don't know. Come on.
Yeah. No, I was going to bring my hand sanitizer out, but fortunately, this has a little carabiner attached to it. And I thought, if I lose this liquid gold right now in this climate, I will not be allowed entry back into the house. So I clipped it to my pants. And there you go. Bob's your uncle. I can go about keeping my social distance, keeping my hands very, very dry. I don't know if you noticed this, but my hands are so dry from excessive washing. I want to give you...
Oh, yeah, mine too.
Oh, man, they're just like dry lizards. And I want to give you a contrast between the way that someone my age looks at the world right now and the way a 4-year-old does. Because here I am washing my hands so vigorously and so continuously that they're all dry. Meanwhile, I look over at my 4-year-old son, and he's licking this iPod that he found. And I'm going, what are you doing? And he goes, Dad, this is how I clean it. So he doesn't seem concerned at all because apparently that's how he cleans his iPod Touch from circa 2008 is by licking the screen.
Good job. Kids are all right.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Ben, are you not afraid that somebody will try grabbing and stealing your little gel thing from the waist there?
No, but guys...
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
So I have some breaking news, fellas. Are you ready?
I do as well.
It's
I'm not sure.
It's a tragedy, actually. We received our very first 1-star review.
Wow.
Oh,
I
It
got
was
this
Chad.
morning.
It must have been Chad.
It was no. It was.
No.
I think some of my deductive logic seems to think that it was a Kiwi or an Australian because, pardon me if this is not an appropriate word, but another review he had left used the word bloody, which Americans don't typically use that. But anyway, let me review it. It's 1 star,
British.
and he's
okay.
by RTK or Bruce. That's his name, and he writes.
Bruce.
And he writes on March 13th, 2020, after 10 minutes of self-indulgent banter and banter, after 10 minutes of self-indulgent banter, and then in brackets, with no substance, I turned to something else.
Hey, you need to
Wow.
you need to salute him. Salute
No.
him.
So anyway, first of all, my head was spinning. My confidence took a nosedive, but then rebounded. I bailed out my confidence with some of my reserves, and then I rebounded. And then I huddled together with my production team, and I thought we need to do something about this because for future podcast listeners, the first 10 minutes of our podcast can be confusing. It can be alarming. It can even be
He wasn't
frightening.
lying, was he? It is
No,
true.
so-
There isn't any content.
So the production team and I gathered together and we decided that before David ever tells a random story, to cover ourselves legally, we should probably play this.
Warning, David's random story may contain mild to moderate banter with little to no substance. If you are easily offended, please do not consume some or all of David's random story. David's random story contains little to no truth and may directly or indirectly lead to face bleeding, skin loss, tooth loss, nose growth, heightened senses, diminished appetite, limited to dairy and or meat products. If you're overly sensitive, irritable, or prone to violent mood swings, these may increase while listening to David's random story. If itchiness develops while listening to David's random story, seek medical assistance immediately. If you or someone you love has experienced trauma as a result of listening to David's random story, well, in the words of Nigel,
So
You know,
That is long.
I actually heard from Nigel today, and you know how
So-
Nigel is.
But
Nigel's,
just to be clear for the listening audience, we will always be using the disclaimer because for the poor public, aka Bruce, who is just so
Yeah.
traumatized by 10
He
minutes
is,
of
he
banter
is.
that he felt the need to
Yeah.
go on iTunes and give us a 1-star review
yeah,
because that caused him so much trauma.
Oh.
We'll always be playing the disclaimer
Yeah.
just so as to make sure that the Bruces of the world, they can handle the 10 minutes of banter. I mean, heaven forbid. Go get a snack, hit the fast forward button. Bruce, I don't salute you.
And Bruce will be honored that he's quoted every episode now
yeah.
I don't
in the
trust
disclaimer.
The Bruce always betrays you in the end.
Yeah. But his other review used the word, again, I say bloody. So my assumption is he's of British, Canadian, or Australian descent, which we should have
But
seen that.
there's not
coming.
only one person in the world that uses that word.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the
it is.
Americans do not use that unless it's in jest or irony.
Hey,
Anyway,
by
we-
the
Hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
by the way, I did get something from Nigel that's disturbing because he's concerned about the marginalized, as you well know.
Yes.
And so he said that there's a whole group of people around the world that have been really hurt by this whole coronavirus thing. And that is the burglars. Because
This
now,
is going to be
Oh, yeah.
inappropriate for
because
sure.
now, because everyone's staying home, they can't do their
Right.
work. They can't do any breaking. They
It's
can't
it's
do
a
any
real hit to
entering.
the economy.
I know. And so they're looking for some governmental assistance because now they can't do any burglaries. And so
Yeah.
I just want to say for all of you, Bruce, I'm sure you're a burglar, and all you others out there who break and enter, we just want you to know that our thoughts, not our prayers, but our thoughts go out
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
you.
It turns out that the disclaimer was definitely necessary based on what David says. And my thoughts go out to Gabe, who dumped all of his life savings into a kissing booth. And let's just say that's not been going super well. All right, it's
But-
been 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and lest we, if Bruce is
Bruce
still
said
with us,
10.
if Bruce is still with us, we want to move on right at the 10-minute mark because that may have been. In fact, had we stopped at 9 minutes and 45 seconds, who knows? Bruce might have given us 2 stars and said that he eventually tuned into something else. So, anyway, guys, can you leave us a review? Can this not be the most recent review on our podcast? Or maybe you need to reinforce it. I don't know. Either way, we do ask for honest reviews. And Bruce, you stepped up. Thanks for giving us your honest review. We're not gonna do a David's random story today because I feel I'm traumatized. I know you guys are as well. So anyway, Luke, you said you had a few comments. How about we use that to segue, and then let's actually get on to the serious topic du jour.
Oh, yeah, related to coronavirus. Well, first of all, the social distancing thing, something I'm used to already because, my wife's been helping me practice that for a year and a half or so.
That's right. She was really a visionary, wasn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're doing good, but we're doing really good, but some couples are not. So I found some interesting facts about coronavirus. I was reading up some interesting side effects in China. As soon as they started opening up the lockdown a little bit, one of the first things that happened was hundreds of couples started going to offices, and basically the divorce rate spiked across China because couples spent too much time together during the coronavirus quarantine. And so and this is true, this is news fact, they all went to get divorced because they realized they couldn't live with the person that they had to spend a couple of months with. So that's a bit sad.
Yikes. Wow.
One of the side effects.
Was that
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that's weird and depressing. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm really glad.
Yeah,
you
it is
lightened
weird,
our
but
mood with that.
No, I think obviously one of the big things about this is the opportunity for us to spend more time with our families. And I'm on a serious note, I'm really enjoying that. I'm loving having my kids at home. We're doing gardening during the days and everything. I think it is a really important time for us to make the most of it and spend time with family, with our wives and husbands, and learn to nurture our marriages and not do like the Chinese and go get divorced.
Yeah.
But one of the other things that I thought I'd bring up, which is on a more serious note, is just thinking about.
Wow,
I'm just
racist.
Oh, sorry, I did
love
not
all
mean
of our
that to be
Chinese
racist
listeners.
at all.
All 1.5 billion of
No,
you. Sorry
I'm
for
sure
being
that it's not all.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
No generalizing, but on a more David, it looks like you want to say something.
No,
Maybe you should say something now.
No, I can't.
Oh, sorry for the 20 people watching this right now. Come on, Luke, segue us, please.
All right. Okay. So on a more serious note, I've been thinking a lot about how we could do something more practical in the situation, and we've actually been talking about it in the mission as well. Just how can we do something of service? So I wanted to tell one story that really encouraged me this week. One of the girls from our team in Katowice here in Poland, she was thinking like, what can I do? With the whole coronavirus situation, how can I help? And so she called up her local pharmacy. And she said, is there anything I can do to volunteer to help out? And they said, yeah, we really need volunteers. There's a bunch of people that are really sick in our area. I don't know how it is where you are, but, in some parts of Poland, the health system is really coming down, really struggling at the moment with the amount of people that are going in to get tested and all that kind of thing. And then people needing medicine, even just to deal with fever and that kind of stuff. And they're afraid to go out, especially the elderly people. And so they don't want to go to the pharmacy. So they're calling the pharmacy up and they're saying, I'm sick. What do I do? So the pharmacy asked this girl from our team if she could start delivering medicine door to door. So she'll go to the pharmacy. She'll get a whole bunch of orders, and then she'll go around door to door and deliver medicines to elderly people. And there's a few other people on the team that are also going around and asking if they can help people with doing their shopping and things like that when they're sick at home, or if they're elderly or at risk with different health issues and that kind of thing. So I thought that was really cool, and that encouraged me to start thinking, what can we do that actually really have an effect in this situation right now? And I think that's what we should all be doing. Maybe it's the kind of thing I'm not usually used to, but thinking outside the box. What can I do that I don't usually do that will really make a difference to people, and it can bring even bring some hope and a message of love to people today. So I think that's important.
Yeah, no, and again, as I've mentioned, we plan on doing a live stream every single day this week. And who knows if we'll do it beyond that. We'll just kind of take it one day at a time. I think that's what the whole world is doing right now. And again, humor aside, especially in the beginning, obviously this is a very serious issue that's devastating millions of people. We're not trying to make light of that in any way. Yeah, it's a real challenge, I think, and something we talked about yesterday is what would God have us do in light of this? And yesterday we talked about being intentional with this time, right? Because I think you can kind of just let it hit you, and you can get overwhelmed with all of the social media, and you don't really you don't take control of that in the right sense of the word and say, okay, God, I'm going to use this. I'm going to be intentional with this time. How am I going to devote more time to my family? How am I going to center my focus on you? How can I think outside of the box and be used by you in a way that I don't expect? So there's all those components to it. And so every day we'll try to hit this from a little bit of a different angle. Today, we don't have a guest. We're trying to line them up, but of course, everyone's in a little bit of chaos right now in life. But the thing I want to talk to you guys about today, and David, maybe I can start with you, is I've seen this weird, almost social media argument that's played out many times over the course of the last few days and weeks, which is that one person, a follower of Jesus, will call out the church to boldness, right? I saw an A.W. Tozer quote that says, "A fearful world needs a fearless church," or something like that. You'll see these things coming out, but inevitably that'll get a response that says, well, does that mean we don't wash our hands and we don't listen to the government recommendations and we don't practice responsible behavior? David, can you kind of unpack that a little bit and wrestle a little bit with that idea of how do we balance boldness with common sense? You know, an argument you'll hear is, well, don't you wear your seatbelt? You know, do you just drive recklessly? Is that what courage is? Can you talk a little bit about that? Before you do, Dirk, we will talk in a bit what impact this is having on our Steiger event. So we'll get to that in a second. But David, do you want to share a little bit about that?
Well, yesterday I saw a post from one of our teams in Kyiv in Ukraine, and they're getting ready to shut everything down at midnight, like all the subways and the basically shutting the city down.
Right.
And so our team thought we've got to take advantage of this last time that people can be out. And they weren't. They were keeping a distance from people. They weren't being inappropriate in that way, but they're out on the streets saying, "Hey, Jesus is alive, and He's the one that can give us hope in a crisis." And so to me, it's not about not putting your seatbelt on. It's not about not washing your hands, not being sensible, but it's not about hiding up in the mountains, being and buying as much toilet paper as you can, and all in the name of I think all in the name of protecting yourself and your family. I think we have to we should think about being sensible, but at the same time, this is an opportunity to let people see that there's hope in all this fear and real true danger that exists with this virus. So I think we need to be out there in an appropriate way, responding to this crisis. And so to me, that's how I see it. But I have to say this, I was at the supermarket yesterday, and Jody said, "You have to buy more toilet paper." And I'm like, I understand medicine, I understand food, I understand water, but I've really
Why toilet paper?
Why toilet paper? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right.
I don't get it either.
And so I'm at the grocery store, and everyone's looking at. I also noticed that everyone is watching what everyone else is putting in their carts. You know what I mean? Have you noticed that?
And then just doing the same.
Yeah. Everyone's like, so I grabbed some toilet paper, put in there, and this guy kind of looks at me and like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I'm like,
"Wait,
and
I did not say that."
Yes, he did. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know how
detailed do you want me to get?
Yeah, how descriptive do you want me to be, man? So I just kind of like looked straight ahead, and just kept walking. I thought I'm going to keep see, there was an example of being responsible, because I kept my social distance from the guy.
Social distance.
And which I've been experiencing, like Anya's been doing with Luke for years. So
right.
So I think, I don't know what this has to do with that, but it just made me think of it.
Yeah. Well, Luke,
then let me take a segue there with the toilet paper thing, right? So one of our other team members here from Wrocław, where I live, she went to the supermarket to buy toilet paper as well, which I just want to say, I agree with you, David. I don't get it. I've asked my wife various times, why do I need to buy lots of toilet paper? Yes, Dirk, I was coughing. but I'm all right. I'm all good. So anyway, people are going and buying toilet paper. I don't understand why. Anya says that it's because some Polish like political person said that people should buy toilet paper and everybody's buying it, but it's happening all around the world. I'm sure other people don't listen to Polish politicians in other countries. So anyway, so our team member goes to the supermarket to buy this toilet paper, and she manages to get to the till and does like, it's one of those automatic, you do it yourself buying stuff. So she buys she pays for the toilet paper.
Sophisticated description. It's one of them do it by yourself thingamadoos.
Exactly. We have those over here in Poland, and I don't know if you guys have that in America, where you still got to use cash.
I'm still trying to figure out what the heck a till is.
Oh yeah, that's where you pay for stuff. But anyway, so so she buys the toilet paper. She's already paid for it. It's at the side, and a lady comes walking by, spots the toilet paper, and grabs it. And so then, this girl from our team, she goes, she grabs it back. She takes it off and she goes, "Mine."
What?
and the lady goes, "I can't find any. Where did you get it?" And she just goes in Polish, "Nie wiem, I don't know," because she doesn't speak much Polish. And then she runs off with the toilet paper. And then when she got out of the shop, she was like, "Why did I do that? Why didn't I just give her the toilet paper?"
Exactly. That's terrible.
She just reacted.
Yeah.
She was like, "Why did I do that?"
Wow.
That's terrible. Poor
Weird,
lady.
Definitely the primal urges reabsorb. I don't know what I'm saying.
No.
Do you have
But why did the lady try stealing toilet paper? I don't get the toilet paper thing. It doesn't make sense to me. I told Anya, the French invented the bidet. They don't need toilet paper. Why, if the toilet
French,
paper runs out.
No.
As the summer carries on and the warm weather increases, I'll just head out into the yard and let nature take its course.
Yeah, just take a shower.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Luke, help us refocus here. What do we do with that balance between courage and being responsible? Where is that line? Because it's a valid question, right? Because although this virus is scary and it's a unifier in the sense that we are all in this together, and we really are. The irony of it is that it kind of wants you to makes you keep your distance. You don't really want to get in close contact with people. So how is it purely a digital thing? How can we find that balance in life in general, right? Where is that line between reckless and courage?
No, well, for me, it's what's the reason for being courageous? What's the situation in which I need to have courage and do something? So courage just for courage's sake doesn't make any sense. It's got to be, if there's a cause, there's a reason why I need to do something, and it's going to help people, it's going to make a difference, then I should be bold. I should do the right thing. So I think the big question I've been going over, which relates to what I said before, is what exactly am I supposed to do in this moment that will actually make a difference? Now, in our mission, and maybe this will start to answer Dirk's question, but in our mission, we go to the streets, we share Jesus, we go places where people haven't heard about Jesus before. That's what we do all year round. Or it's, events, training people, gathering people together. And so all those things suddenly we can't do anymore. We can't do trainings, we can't do conferences, we can't go do street evangelism because of all the restrictions. Now, at first I was like, oh, we got to do it anyway. I think that's the wrong kind of courage, because if people are freaking out and they're trying to keep a distance and they're trying to follow restrictions and things that the government has put in place, for us to just ignore that and just, we're just going to go out and offer free hugs to everybody or something like that, then people are going to freak out. It's going to give the opposite message. It's not going to be helpful. And I kept thinking, Ben, you said something on a podcast a few episodes ago. You were remembering something from history where monks would go into the most dire situations when there was plagues going on and stuff and help people. So I was just thinking, what is the equivalent of that now in our situation? And I think one of the biggest things that's hit me is how the health systems in countries where the virus is really spreading big, it's really having a heavy toll, and it's nuts. So the virus has limited, I think, effects and all that. But when it's really hitting a lot of people. The hospitals just get overrun. People that are really sick with other stuff don't get a chance because all the focus is on dealing with containing the virus, and nurses and doctors are getting way overworked, and it's just insane. And I think there's something in that we could do. So that's what I've been thinking about. I was talking to Anya today. I was like, and I've messaged some people that work in the hospital to say, is there, can we volunteer in the hospital? And I think there's something like that. And that to me would be courage with a purpose. It'd be like, okay, here I can actually do something that will really make a difference and be meaningful to people. And of course, an opportunity to share our faith, to bring hope. So it's a different style of evangelism I've never done before. I've never tried going into a hospital as a volunteer to share the gospel, but I think that's what we need to be doing right now, is thinking outside the box, doing something we're not used to doing.
Yeah, I think the challenge is that the examples I think of in history, it's the risk you take on, right? So if I'm standing up to Nazi Germany to hide Jews, they're already in danger. I'm taking on the risk of sheltering them from the harm of Nazi Germany, or the monks going in. You know, I don't know what the Black Plague, how it spread, how it's different, but from my understanding, they were risking their own safety to help already afflicted people and nurse them back into health when no one else would. And so I think part of the challenge here is that you don't risk just yourself, you risk other people in ignoring the sort of social protocols to keep people safe. And that's where the challenge lies, right? Is that it's one thing to be to risk your own safety, to sacrifice your own health or resources, but to put other people at risk is what makes this particularly hard. And so I think part of the problem is we just need to define what courage looks like. And maybe what courage looks like is to be bold online, or to call your friends who don't know Jesus on the phone and say, hey, can I pray for you? Maybe it's finding ways to give financially, where maybe you're in a decent place, but there are other people who are suffering right now. And you could give of your money. Maybe it's, I don't know. You know, I think there are creative things we can do that still cost us, but don't necessarily put everyone else at risk, which I think is where the conflict arises.
I think it's about doing, you know, like what Luke said, is people are, what do they need? You know, what would Jesus do if he was walking the earth, which he is through
what are
us?
their needs? Exactly.
And what are their needs and how you help them. So for example, like I know someone who's a very high risk individual, and I was concerned about their safety. And so I felt like a part of what would Jesus do? I needed to make sure that they were in a situation where they would not be put in unnecessary high risk situations and be living somewhere that would be the best for that. And so I took that on as my responsibility to figure out. You know, I couldn't, and so I think that's an example of doing that. And you know, and then I've been feeling like there's different people around the world that I need to just be calling and saying, how you doing? Can I pray with you? Is there anything you need? And so I'm taking time now, thinking of people that I should call and just say, you know, talk to and just pray with them. And if they need something that I can help with, to help. So I think that's the, you know, and then I think what you're saying is being willing to go where people are sick and help them, if that's, you know. And I think some people are more gifted, you know, they have that nursing kind of thing. I mean, I remember when I was in India and I was around all these people, and Luke, you were there, you know, these people with
that's the one place I did do nursing stuff before.
yeah. And these people had really scary things, you know. And so, you know, and I always felt like, well, that's not my, I was there, but I'm not a nurse, you know, or something. Like Luke. So, but I thought,
hey, Antonius had me doing all sorts of stuff when I was over there. He really threw us in the deep end.
But I think, again, first of all, we serve the Creator God, who is not surprised by this, right? And on a different day, what I would like to talk about is the whole theodicy of this. How do we deal with an all-powerful God, right? Because as a follower of Jesus, you kind of struggle with this, right? Like, God is in control and God cares. And I can hear somewhat of a secular perspective yelling back at me, well, then why did God let this happen? right? So on a different day, I'd like to talk about that. But
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. So
yeah, so
maybe
we can talk
tomorrow.
about that on a different day. But I think we need to, comes back to yesterday, which is we need to be intentional and say, Jesus, you are not surprised by this. You have an answer here that does not put people at jeopardy, that is not reckless for reckless sake, but that is sacrificial. What does that look like for me? You know, and maybe it's, yeah. And Brittany Johnson just threw out an idea. And please, if you're part of our community, you know, you can definitely throw things up and different ideas. I think that's part of this, right? Is as the body of Christ, we can inspire each other. I said on a podcast yesterday that a friend of mine on social media said, hey, I can watch your kids if you need to get to work and have no other options. You know, maybe there's people in the medical profession who have to get to work to take care of people. Maybe you can offer practical help to them if you're in a position where you don't have to go to work. Brittany Johnson said, I had this idea about setting up a free kindness box on the side of the road, giving up rolls of toilet paper, canned food, hopefully inspiring others to join in. Yeah, I wondered about that too. Like, if somehow we could gather together like a help kit, you know, and just leave them in strategic spots. I had an idea, like, could we, you know, roll on a flatbed truck, especially if the weather gets warmer for us here in Minnesota, and set up like a really cool, like chill acoustic concert and play shows for people that they can open their doors but not go outside, and they can listen, and we can, I don't know. I think God has creative ideas for us, right? Imagine how cool that would be. Like your whole neighborhood comes together and they don't leave their houses. Maybe they just go onto their front steps, depending on where you live, what kind of dynamic you have, and they can have this moment together. I really think that we are in a unique moment here where God could use this. And we'll talk about the theodicy of it later, but I think we need to be asking God for creative ideas.
Yeah, and if you haven't joined in yet, like one of the things that we've been doing in the Mission Steiger is we've been doing like a movement, like a hashtag, where people from our teams all around the world are writing signs with messages of encouragement, pointing to Jesus as our hope, and the hashtag is Hope Beyond Fear. Yeah. So you can join in, you can check out the hashtag, see some of the pictures and stuff, and you can join in by doing your own sign and sharing something like that. But Ben, just one thing I wanted to go a little bit back to your point of understanding the difference, you know, between courage and also being respectful and careful. I felt challenged, you know, as I was trying to think through how do we do this, what do we do at this point? And, you know, Dirk, you're asking what are we doing with our events in Steiger? And I think I realized that for me, it seems like God's pressing the reset button in some ways, and not just in the secular world, in a sense that, you know, the economy's getting hit. It's going to be tough for a lot of people. It's going to change the way things have been working, and it's just made everybody have to stop. But in the Christian world as well, and so much of what we do in the Christian world, and what we think is big move of God, or you know, if stuff's happening, is when we do these big events. And you know, at Steiger, we're not really a conference ministry, but we also do training events and that kind of thing. And we participate in, we have lots of partners that run these big conferences and big events. And you just can't do any of that right now. And part of us, you know, the whole question of, should we still try to do things? Should we still try to meet or still try to do outreaches? And we have to ask ourselves that question of, at what point are we just trying to do these things because it's what we're used to and it's what makes us feel good? You know, it's like, okay, this is what I'm good at doing. And so this is, you know, it can very easily become a selfish thing rather than a, how can I help people thing. So it's a courage to do the thing that I think's cool. And in a sense, you know, I'm speaking for myself now, something that could make me look cool. And this is when we need to let all of that stuff go, let go of the way we've always done things, and just say, God, it's like, I don't know anything. I don't know how to help right now. Just show me what can I do. And I think it's really teaching us to start again, to rethink again. Teaching us some humility, maybe, to recognize that it's not all about these big programs and systems we put in place.
Right.
Yeah. So I have I don't know if this is the right place for this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm supposed to travel to another part of New Zealand on Sunday and speak in a church.
They're still open?
Yeah, well, at the moment, yeah. And okay. So I'm like going, should I do it? is this right? I don't want to um, give the idea that as one of our leaders in our mission that I can't go somewhere. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Right.
The other
Mhm.
is this just being reckless? Um, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
what's the
it's
situation like there? Also, go ahead, Ben.
no answer that question.
Oh, well, people are freaking out here like they are everywhere else. I don't know how many cases there are in New Zealand at the moment. Not very many. I think only maybe 50, 60 cases, something like that. Um,
Because I just
it's
feel like a lot of this stuff. I feel like a lot of this stuff, like I at least don't know. I don't have the expertise to know how this can affect and to make the right decisions. And so one of the things we've done in the mission, as we've taught this through, is going, okay, in this case, we gotta look at what the government's saying and what the experts are saying and the guidelines they're putting in place and respect that, because we don't really know better. And so it's trying to do that. So my initial reaction has always been, what is the situation there? So if it's still in a place where it's okay and the restrictions aren't in place and the church is still doing the service, I guess that's for me, that sounds okay. It's the moment that they start bringing in restrictions and saying, guys, we can't do this anymore, then I feel like I'm just being cavalier to say, oh, let's do it anyway. That's for me, that's one way to make the decision.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a challenge, and I think this is what we are all facing. Jody says there were 11 cases as of yesterday. So
Oh,
by
really?
world
Okay.
by world standards, that's pretty low. But again, I think that's why they're doing what they're doing is they want to keep it low, and everyone's pointing to Iran and Italy and other places like that as examples of what you don't want, which is that it's really reached a
Right.
pretty intense level. I mean, from what I heard, even something like more than 300 people died yesterday in Italy, died,
Mm.
not just got the
Wow.
virus. So, I mean, they're really being hit. So, this is a real thing. And again, as I've already said, for the humor, especially in the beginning and maybe throughout, I think part of it is that it's a coping mechanism, honestly, is that it's tough. This is a real thing, and we're all being hit by this. So it's a devastating thing for sure. Um, but I think the overarching focus here is that it is an opportunity to refocus on what's true. And that's been the consistent theme for me over and over again, that it's never been about me, and it's never been about the things I can control. And I don't think God wishes this suffering on anybody, but at the same time, this is reality. We are all so fragile and so desperately dependent on God. And like you said, Luke, I think that this is a very good, healthy reset, even for the church, to be reminded that we need to hold our plans lightly and loosely. That, like it says in James, I can say I'm going to do this and this and this in a year, but unless the Lord wills it, right? And that has become
Right.
so poignant right now. It's like, I had plans. We had plans. We said we were going to do this, that, and whatever in a year. And as far as I was concerned, they were absolutely set in stone. And yet here we are, right? Like, it's nothing that we planned is going to probably happen. To answer Dirk's question directly, we're
Yeah.
scrambling right now because a lot of what we do is public outdoor proclamation evangelism. Well, that's the opposite of what the world wants right now. And
Mm.
so we're praying and asking God for ideas. But it's just the reality that really has been true and is always true. We are just more reminded of it now. It's like the layers have been peeled back. It's like the matrix got disconnected. And here we are confronted with the truth, right? And a heightened sense of the truth, maybe, for sure. But this is kind of how we always are. Isn't that right, David? I mean, we're never really in control.
Yeah, it's an illusion to think that you have control, because this is kind of what makes this unique is it's the whole world at the same time.
Yeah.
But all of us can be instantly, or all of our circumstances can be different. And I know all of us have friends who before this virus happened had things like that happen. Uh, where a good friend of mine and is right now struggling to make it through this cancer that he has. And
Yeah.
his whole life everything changed, and he was big well-known speaker traveling the world, and this gets hit with this thing, and now it's kind of like we have this worldwide thing. It's a kind of a, I think it brings fresh humility, a reminder of that to me in any way. But also I think, like we've said already, you gotta take all of this anxiety and tension to Jesus. You need to make sure you're not neglecting your own time with him, not getting caught up in the news cycle of the moment. When I'm done with this podcast, I'm going to be going on a prayer walk, and I'm going to just bring everything to Jesus again. And I need to do that consistently every day. And I think that's critical right now for everyone who's listening. If you're anxious, don't just keep checking out the latest news cycle. Go spend time with God. Tell him what you're feeling. Bring a good friend, go with a good friend. Keep your distance from your good friend. But do that. It's important. It's really important.
Well, even today, I was again feeling this anxiety, and it's weird because you kind of forget, and then you all of a sudden remember. I don't know if you guys have had that.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I'll wake up after sleeping, and I'll go, oh yeah, we're still in this like zombie fog. Like, it's weird. And so today, I was like feeling all weird and whatever. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go run. So I was like, I'm not going to bring my AirPods like I normally would. I'm not going to listen to anything. I'm just going to run. And so I just went outside, and it's a little cold, but it was sunny. And I just ran, and it was great. And I work out, but not typically running. And I was like, man, these practical things are really important.
Yeah, that's true too. That's another thing that Jody and I do, is we go for a run every day. And it's, that's a physical thing that's good for you to do, is get out, and you don't have to, stay locked in your house, do you? Like in Poland, you can go out, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, the restrictions are more about going to social gatherings, going to restaurants, going to places like that. But you go, I mean, the supermarkets are open. And one thing Anya and I have been doing a lot is going out with the kids, taking them to the park, or going out on the bicycles, doing some gardening. Yesterday, Daniel and I, and my son Daniel, we built a tower of strawberries, a vertical strawberry garden. Ton will be proud of us. So we got to do stuff like that.
Here's all I can tell you. Of all the times to have 2 kids under the age of 4, one on the way, and my entire house under construction,
it's not good timing.
I win the award for bad timing. Because I got a 4-year-old that's full of beans, that likes to lick things, that likes to run in circles, and he doesn't care about the virus. He just wants to chuck stuff hard. So, I get the timing award because, again, not making light of anyone's situations, but I'm sorry, if you're single or married without kids, just learn how to sweep pick. Like, I'd be stoked right now. I mean, that sounds cavalier, but I'm like, I'd be awesome. Like, I don't know what you're stressing about. Try having 2 toddlers in a tiny house. Anyway, that's my rant. I feel like I just watched a lot of Netflix and be pretty chill about it. But anyway, so
don't do that. Don't just watch Netflix. That's lame.
Why?
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
All right.
But I saw this post that they're advertising Netflix now. How's that for taking advantage of a situation?
Wow, there's all sorts of that going on.
That's just
obviously.
terrible.
Well,
really?
Can you blame them? The entire economy's collapsing. Somebody's got to make money. Anyway, that's I think we might wrap it up right there. Again, a couple ways that you can be involved. Join our Provoke and Inspire community page on Facebook. This is a place where you can share prayer requests. You can share ideas and thoughts. You can be part of our community. Let us pray for you. Share your requests. You can pray for me and my toddlers and my tiny house right now. Pray for the world, obviously. Also, join the movement that we're starting, the hashtag Hope Beyond Fear movement. Go online, write on a cardboard sign, some message of hope, use the hashtag, and share that, I think, as a way to say an act of solidarity, an act of faith. We've been having literally hundreds and hundreds of people doing that, and it's very encouraging. So that's one way that you can join in. I'm getting all sorts
and watch Ben's video that went viral. Yeah. Ben, you had a video go viral. Yeah. You guys need to watch his video.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I can share it. There is a video on the
Good.
Is There More Facebook page. If you type in Is There More, one word, lowercase, otherwise you're going to get the Drake song. Check that out. There's a video on there. And yeah, it's last checked, I don't know, 280,000 views or something like that, which is kind of ridiculous.
It's spreading.
So, yep, all those words are a little strange right now. It is spreading. It is viral. It is contagious. Spray it down and keep your distance. But yeah, I'm getting all sorts of comments about being single and all this stuff. Sorry. You know, I'm not sorry. I'm envious. Live
Yeah,
on,
really.
live free.
I don't want any of you single people whining and you need to get out there and do something positive with your life.
Yeah, and Dirk, you and my wife could have some sort of support club during the virus because she also doesn't feel super good during this pregnancy. So,
We feel your pain. We feel your pain,
we
Dirk.
feel your pain. Anyway, thank you for listening to the live stream tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central Time. As long as the world is here, we will be here, and we'll continue to talk about this. We'll be together. We'll have this cathartic global campfire where we can
It's
join
the
hands,
The global
sing
campfire.
songs, and we can get through this together. Let us be together, since we can't be apart. I don't know. That just sounded like something I should say. That's it. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. End the
Peace.
broadcast.